Hey, Shug. Welcome to a brand spanking new episode of the Melanin Mayhem podcast, hosted by your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. If this is your first time sliding through these Melanin Mayhem streets, welcome, sugar. Let me break it down for you what we do over here at the Melanin Mayhem podcast. You see, every Wednesday, I am going to bring you the story of a heinous, I'm talking diabolical and downright negacious serial crimes committed by a melanated baddie that you've probably never heard of. And that's because despite the prolificness of the crime, our stories totally get ignored by the mainstream media. So that's why I am here, your one-woman band, here to dispel the myth out here that there are certain types of crimes that black people don't commit. Baby, cap all day long. Straight up propaganda, honey, because baby, we've been out here criming it up serial style since way back when. Everything that the Pale Patrol does, we do too. So now that I've hipped you to how we do what we do over here, go on ahead and grab a seat and get comfortable because baby, you are in for a treat. And now, honey, my boo things, the ones I love, the ones I look forward to talking to every single week. I am talking about my crime cousins of the Noir Nation. What it do, boo boo? Oh my God. It feels like legit it's been a month since we talked, y'all. I am about to lose my mind over here. It's too much. It's too much. Oh my goodness. But it's okay. I'm going to persevere, make it through. Because that's what we do when we do what we do. But I gotta tell y'all, I have managed to fit in a little bit of, I'm gonna call it recon, because I went over to, we've got the serial killer exhibit here in Atlanta this weekend. And so, you know, your girl had to go over there and check it out and see what they was doing. To say that I was disappointed, but not that much, because I mean, hey, what I always say, we always get minimized, but representation is important. And in this exhibit that has, let's call it, I'll be generous and say that they had 70 serial killers, quotation around serial, represented. And of that, I think there were like 5 or 6 of people of color. And I was shocked because some of the serial killers that they had represented only killed one person. Where is the serial darling? Somebody please tell me. Again, no knock on nobody's whatever, but it was just, I was pissed. I'm going to be real with you. I was pissed because I'm walking around and I'm looking at all of these, dare I say, mediocre white men who killed one person over here or even 4 or 5 people over there. And I'm like, do you not understand? We are 96 episodes in on Melanin Mayhem. And of those 96, let's say 10 of them are scammers. Everybody else is serial killing. Baby, we got stories for days. But we are not represented. Let me see. They had, I took pictures because I wanted to talk about it with y'all this week. They had 9, 10. Okay, so I'm walking through. It's like 75, I'll say, serial killer posters on display. And of the 75, 10 of them were melanated. And of those 10, I'm just saying, Samuel Little is the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history. And he has got a little regular size, blow up, just like everybody else. Like, again, I was disappointed. But it also got your girl to thinking, ooh, wait a minute. I think I can do something and do something big. Because, I don't know. I don't know. They was making good bank. You know what I'm saying? And it was going down. I don't know. I've got thoughts. I've got thoughts. And I want, not again praising serial killing, but I'm just saying, when you know better, you do better. And when you know what's out there, you move differently. And I don't know, I felt some kind of way at that exhibit, but real talk, it was, good shit, whatever, but it was very white, and like I said, a lot of them were marginal white. They didn't kill but one person. That ain't no serial. What in the hell? Anyway, I've got thoughts. As far as church announcements this week, I have really been playing around with the merch. Like, I actually made some prototypes, and so I've been playing around with the stuff that I like. I'm going to put some pictures up in the discussion group because I like y'all opinion, and y'all get to tell me first what needs to be tweaked, what you like, what you don't like, whatever. So I'm going to have that up. I'm going to have it up by this weekend. It's cold as I don't know what here, y'all. Oh my God. Georgia needs to get it together because this schizophrenic weather, you hear my voice. I don't know if this is allergies or what. Is something blooming and it's still like 20 degrees outside? What is going on? I don't get it. Other than that, no church announcements. Don't forget melaninmayhempodcast.com for all your merch needs. And so without further ado, honey, let's go on ahead and get into our mayhem maker for this week because, honey, this week, Ohio, I'm circling back around to y'all. Let me tell you, y'all have had y'all fair share of serial killers represented on the Melanin Mayhem podcast. What is going on, baby? This week, we're going to talk about a serial killer that was inspired by another Ohioan. Is that what y'all say, Ohioan? Another person from Ohio is what I'm trying to say. So when he heard about fellow Cleveland serial killer Anthony Sewell, we talked about him. He was stashing bodies all around his house. We did an episode of his trifling ass last year. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and check out season 1, episode 14 to refresh yourself. This week's Mayhem Maker was inspired by a killer and went out and did the same damn thing that he did. You forget about the part that Anthony Sewell got caught and because death smells. Clearly, our mayhem maker didn't think this thing through because just like Anthony's pussy punk ass, this nigga got caught too by the motherfucking cable man of all people. Honey, it's a deranged situation and I gotta tell y'all all about it. So without further ado, we're gonna nasal through this. It is my distinct displeasure, Noir Nation, to drag this sorry motherfucker to the front of the congregation for a proper read. This week's Melanin Mayhem Maker is Mr. Michael Madison. Noir Nation, we're gonna go on ahead and get into it, but I can't hardly breathe, so we're gonna do the best we can. Y'all bear with me, okay? All right, so Michael Madison was born October 15th, 1977 in Cleveland, Ohio. Now, his mama's name was Diane Madison, and the sperm donor was a nigga named John Baldwin. Now, I feel comfortable calling him a nigga because he did some nigga shit. You see, him and Diane was getting it in, and Diane fucked around and came up pregnant. And so this nigga was like, nah, I'll pass. And he did a E, ejaculate and evacuate. Deuces thrown, never to be seen again. Just passed. Like, what the fuck, sir? What? And so when it was all said and done, Diane would go on to have another baby, a boy. And I'm not making any excuses for her, but she wasn't equipped. Like, I wasn't there. I can only go by what I have read as I researched into these people's lives, Monday morning quarterbacking. But that being said, generational curses are real. And in this bloodline, it seems that we got all kinds of foolishness and fuckery. Diane and her mama was the friendly coochie type, that kept a steady rotation of community penises that like to put hands on them and their children. A lot of drugs, lots and lots and lots of drugs, lots and lots of depravity and abuse and neglect. And that's what Michael Madison was born into. The things he went through as a child give me pause. Like, he was a stinking, nasty, disgusting waste of flesh as an adult. But I actually see how this nigga was made into the monster that he became. A little bit. Now, he grew up in East Cleveland, and he stayed in and out of the hospital. I mean, he was a regular in family and children's services. They knew his name. They knew his mama. And I'm talking about as a toddler, a baby. And what I mean is, like, when he was 2, they found out that Diane was literally stuffing food down her baby's throat. And of course, this child, this 2-year-old whose mama is stuffing food down his throat, he's throwing up and shit because, you know, humans tend to do that when shit is forced down our throats. And so this bitch, and I feel comfortable in calling her this bitch, she decides to then give him a bath because he's throwing up, and she puts him in a tub of scalding hot water. So of course he's screaming and hollering and carrying on because he's being traumatized. His mama is fucking him up. Baby, tell me why this bitch go and grab an extension cord. A goddamn extension cord, and started beating the brakes off this 2-year-old child. 2. Uno dos. 2. Now, while I can't pretend to have sympathy for the grown man Mike, my heart breaks for little boy Michael. Like, it does. But here's the thing. That wasn't enough to get Michael took from Diane's, shall we say, questionable parenting. And later on that same year, back at the emergency room, now Michael got a goose bump on the side of his head. Somebody done went upside this child's head, this 2-year-old child's head. And it still wasn't enough for DFACS to step in and save this child. 6 months later, he 3 years old. And one of them stellar specimens of stinking ass niggas that Diane liked to fuck with beat Michael with a belt so hard and so long that he just started throwing up and he couldn't stop. So here we go again, back at the emergency room. This time he had to stay for a couple of days till they could get him back right, you know, to some type of fighting shape. And this still wasn't enough for DFACS to step in and save this 3-year-old child. And so then we find ourselves with another time where one of these sorry syphilitic psychos that Diane was fucking with beat Michael so bad that he lost hearing in one of his ears. You know how bad you got to beat somebody to beat them deaf? Like, what the fuck? And you would think that, you know, okay, here come DFACS now, right? They're gonna step in and rescue little Michael. But no, they didn't. You want to know what finally did it? He back at the emergency room, and they found that he had contusions, abrasions, and swelling on his penis. Bruised, rug burned, and swole. What the fuck was they doing to this child? And so finally at this point, DFACS steps in and is like, that's a motherfucking enough. And they removed little Michael from Diane's care formally. Whew, nay, shit, it's about damn time, right? That's what we thinking, right, Noir Nation? Not so fast. Cause yeah, they came and got him, but they took him out the frying pan and threw him in the fire. They gave temporary custody to his grandmama, Diane's friendly pussy dope head ass mama, who fuck with the same type of niggas that her daughter fuck with. So didn't that change except the location of where the abuse and the torture took place. Now Diane, she went through all the court mandated counseling. She checked off all the boxes without anybody just checking to make sure that shit was actually changing. And so then they sent little Michael right on back home to live with Diane. Now mind you, all of this is before this child is 5 years old. And at this point, DFACS just is hands off, and so nothing really changed. He's still showing up at the ER with various bumps and bruises and other beatdown symptoms. And this went on until he became a teenager. And around 16, Michael was like, "Fuck all of this," and he just up and left. They said Michael would sleep from pillar to post wherever he could lay his head. That's where the fuck he laid his head, as long as it wasn't at Diane's house. And so you got to think that having this foundation of abuse, neglect, and isolation, Michael was a little off. You know, his cheese wasn't all the way on the crackle. And people could see it, especially like his classmates. Yeah, and Michael showed very early signs that he know how to be around females. When he was 17 in 1994, he got charged with delinquency for inappropriately touching a classmate. You see, early on, he showed that he was one of them grab them by the pussy types, you know? And while for some, you know, meaning the orange sickle peoples, you can go on to be president. But for Michael, it would give him his first brush with the law, but it for sure wouldn't be his last. But as these things go, they just gave him a slap on the wrist because he was a minor, and they just, you know, youthful shit or whatever, and because, you know, sexual assaults don't get the proper handling that they should. So basically Michael skates on this little sexual assault incident, right? But you know what? Despite the shit that was going on in his home life, Michael did manage to graduate from Euclid High School in 1997. But it was clear, honey, he didn't survive his childhood unscathed. This little young nigga had a serious problem with women. Like, he didn't want no woman telling him what to do, period. And he would go ham on any woman that tried. So we got this dude who is a little off in the head, huge chip on his shoulder when it comes to a woman trying to tell him something. And so he's the odd duck out a little bit, and everybody kind of gave him a wide berth. You know what I'm saying? And so post high school graduation, Mike matriculated into the criminal community college and thus began his, you know, in and out of the system. When he was 20, he was sent to jail on some drug charges. In 2001, he fucked around and caught another sexual offense and was charged with attempted rape, gross sexual imposition, and kidnapping. He done snatched somebody up off the street, some woman fighting for her life and her box. This deranged nigga done took her somewhere and is relentlessly trying to get the cookies. And so luckily some police, I don't know if somebody heard the girl hollering or whatever it was, but the police was able to come. Michael ran away, but they knew who the fuck it was, and they scooped his ass up. And so that following year, you know, because it takes a little time for court and shit to happen, he was convicted of that shit, but they pled him down to attempted rape, and they gave that pussy snatching motherfucker 4 years to do in the pen. And so by 2006, he is back on the block, but this time he is a registered sex offender. He paroled out to his mama's house over in Cleveland. Y'all remember old trifling ass Diane? Well, yeah, she's still alive and kicking it. Feet to Jesus. And life falls into a routine. Work a little bit, shoot the shit a little bit. But Mike still got this anger issue. And you know, he'll pop off, get a couple of disorderly conducts, you know what I'm saying? But in the grand scheme of the shit that he really did, there I guess is an improvement, just, you know, disorderly conduct. So yeah, time is moving on, and Mike maladjusted ass is adjusted enough that he's got a place of his own over in East Cleveland, and he got him a girlfriend. He's a fixture in the neighborhood. I mean, everybody know Mike. He always walking up and down the street. I mean, like, everybody know who he is. And everybody also know that Mike is a little off. And they know that Mike like to talk crazy to women and say really fucked up shit about women. Like, one of his neighbors said he had to tell him to back the fuck up off her daughter, you know, because you an older man and you ain't got no conversation for my baby. So keep it pushing, pervert, you know. And another little young girl from the neighborhood say Mike was always trying to give her a ride, and she said she declined every goddamn time. You know, sometimes your spirit will let you know to keep certain people at arm's length. You can't help who you know, who you live around, but you can help how much access you give them of you. Baby, no. All rides ain't good rides. That's all right. I'll walk. Tom and Jerry will take me where I need to go. And so what I'm about to get into is the bullshit that Mike was actually getting into. And y'all, what broke me all the way down is, why is it that Mike turned out to be the neighborhood weed man? Like, man, what? How in the world is the weed man gonna be our mayhem maker? The weed man supposed to be the most chill person in the world. Like, he's selling munchies, not murder. Like, damn it, man. Fuck, you giving weed man a bad name, puss ass nigga. Okay, that is not the point. That is not the point. But I just thought that was interesting that he the weed man and he also is a serial offender that I'm finna tell you all about, right? So anyway, we find ourselves in the year of our Lord 2012, right? And like I said, Mike got a little apartment over on Hayden Avenue and he got a little girlfriend. Her name is Brittany Darby. Now, I don't know. I don't think they live together, but whatever. Britt come kick it with her man at his place, as one does when you're in a relationship, right? And so one day in September 2012, she over at the house and Mike got a gash on his nose, like a real deep scratch. And so Brittany like, hey, babe, what happened to your face? And Mike telling, I was on the block and some chicks got to throwing hands and, I tried to break it up and they done fucked me up in the process. And so Brittany was like, that sounds plausible. Shit does tend to go down on the block. And look at my man being our Captain Save-A-Ho and shit. And so she let the shit go, right? Little did she know that around this same time, 28-year-old Shatisha Sheely went missing. Her family hadn't heard from her since earlier in the month. And come to find out, Shatisha had come across Mike somewhere or another and somehow ended up in his apartment. This nigga beats and rapes her, then strangles her. Gone. Up a room. And you would think, okay, was this a fit of rage? What was this? Was he doped up? But whatever, you would think that once the fog cleared and you look down and you see that there's a dead woman on the floor of your apartment, you might start to panic a little bit, right? The old shit of it all, whatever, right? Not this nigga Mike. Oh no, he don't panic. This motherfucker leaves this apartment, leaves this woman on the floor where she laid, and go to the bar and proceeds to get his motherfucking drink on. Not as in, oh my God, what have I done? How am I going to live with myself? Let me drink myself into despair. No, he just went out to go kick it. And kick it he did. And so after he get right, he comes back to the scene of the crime, his apartment, and then he gets to work on cleaning up his mess. He takes Shatisha Sheely's body and he folds her up at the waist. And he ties her up like that with her head bound to her knees, kind of folds her up in the fetal position, and then he put her body in a big black trash bag. And then he put that trash bag inside some more trash bags. And then he tied it all up, and then he took that bag and put it in a garage that he rented behind his apartment. And he left that bag there for the next 7 or so months. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. Like, he bagged this woman up like trash and left her outside like nothing for months. And nobody knew because she was out there for months. Now, they was out there looking for Shatisha, but nobody knew what happened to her. And Mike, he just carries his funk ass on like ain't nothing happened at all. But every day at some point in time, he go in that goddamn garage. That's where his car is parked. That's where, the extra shit that ain't in the house is out there in the garage. And so every time he go in that garage, he see what the fuck he did. He smell what the fuck he did. Man, it's a whole ass dead body right now. And you know it. You trifling bastard. So a few months pass and now we are in 2013. Mike ain't missed a beat. Him and his girl Britt, they still kicking it. Life's great. So it's around May 2013. And a woman named Angela Deskins just falls off the face of the earth. Her daddy say he can't find her. She ain't answering no phone calls. Ain't nobody seen her since one of her friends say that they dropped her off at an abandoned barbecue spot to meet this dude named Mike. What we know later is that they at some point ended up at Mike's house and Angela ended up disconnected and no longer in service. Beaten, raped, strangled, folded up in the fetal position, stuffed in a big black trash bag. And then Angela didn't go to the garage. This degenerate douchebag put her in the closet. The motherfucking closet. This is an apartment, y'all. He put her in the closet in the front room. Mind you now, this is May. It's a little warm in May. You know what I'm saying? Well, one day, later on, about a week or so later, Britt is at the house. It's warm or whatever, and she like, damn, babe, what's that smell? Smell like something dead in this bitch. And Mike gonna tell her, oh yeah, it's 2 raccoons that died in that closet in the living room. I just ain't got around to taking care of them. What? Fuck you mean you ain't got around to taking care of it? Like, let's get around to it right now. That shit funky. They got to get the hell up out of here. Like, are we really having this conversation? You know it's some dead shit up there in the closet and we just like ain't gonna take care of it? Now, Brittany is saying something to this effect to Mike, and she said that Mike's starting to sweat a little bit. He looking kind of shifty. And he started talking about, well, you know, baby, I'm going to take care of it. Don't worry about it. You don't want to see that. That shit foul, man. I'm going to take care of it. Let's go get something to eat. Man, he hurried up and got her the fuck up out that goddamn house. Okay, I'm going to let it ride. Well, later on, same week, Britt back over there, and in true black girl fashion, first thing she did was check that goddamn closet. Well, wasn't nothing in there, but that motherfucking smell, it was still lingering. So she's skeptical a little bit, you know, and she asked her dude, kind of joking, you sure that's all that was in there? She joking, but she also not joking. You know, doing that shit that we do, seeing and not seeing, or in this case, smelling and not smelling. Like I keep saying, I have never smelled a dead body, but they all say that you will know when you do because it's a smell like no other. Now, I have smelled a dead animal, and that's some funky shit. You know what I'm saying? And if a human is like 10 times, 100 times worse than that, come on, man. Britt smelled that smell, and her subconscious was whispering, raccoons my ass, bitch. You know goddamn well there wasn't no motherfucking raccoons. But her conscious mind refused to even let that thought form that it smelled like death, but not necessarily from a rodent. Ooh, child. Yeah, Mike got rid of the source of the smell, all right. He stashed Angela in the basement of an abandoned house behind the garage where Shatisha out there chilling at. Like, wow. This motherfucker just bodies on bodies, just kicking it, right? And moving on with life, because now it's like the end of June 2013. And we find out that 18-year-old Sherelle DeTerry has just met a new friend, and she just got off work and she walking home and met this dude named Mike. They exchanged numbers, you know, whatever. He a bit older than her. She 18, he's older. He told her that he was 25 and he ain't had no kids. And you know, at 18, that ain't too big of an age difference, you know, and he ain't got no kids, so everything cool. So Sherelle and Mike, they talking on the phone, they texting or whatever for about a week, and this whole time Mike just keep trying to get her to come over and, you know, Netflix and chill or whatever, but Sherelle to keep hitting them with the, you know, I just met you, pump your brakes, I don't know you like that, you know, to be coming to your house or whatever. But you know, time passes, and I'm talking about 18-year-old time, you know, when you get comfortable real quick, especially when you getting all those good morning beautiful texts and y'all sending messages back and forth every day or whatever, that can make you feel like, you know a person when you really don't. And when you 18, shit can happen like that, right? Young, don't really know. Well, one day Mike try again, and he invites Sherelle over to his apartment, and she was like, all right, I'm gonna come. And so this is July 10th, 2013, and the last text on her phone were Mike asking her if she was headed to his apartment, and her response was that she was on 152nd and St. Clair, which is right round the way from Mike's house. Nobody ever saw Sherelle after that, and that's because Mike did what he do. He beat her, he raped her, and he strangled her. And then he went and got out them goddamn hefty bags, and he bagged her up just like he did Shatisha and Angela. And then he got Sherelle bagged up. He takes her out the back door, down the steps, to the garage. He put her in the garage. He takes Shatisha's bag out the garage and go put it behind the garage in a pile of like trees and shrubbery, you know, just some trash basically. Now, just how the fuck we finna play musical chairs with hefty bags full of bodies? What are we doing here? Like, this nigga is audacious as fuck. I don't get it. I swear to God, I don't get it. But a couple of days later, here go Brittany. She back over to the house. And I don't know if they was about to get it on or whatever, however, but she notices that there is a long, deep scratch on his shoulder. And she like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Who the fuck done scratched you? You know what I'm saying? Ain't no need for you to have no motherfucking scratch on your motherfucking back. So before she can just get really worked up, Mike quick with a story. He was like, look, I got into it with that fuck nigga down there on the block, and in the course of the squabbling, oh boy, his girl jumped in and jumped on me, and she was scratching me because I was getting the best of her dude. Britt, girl, how many fights your man got to say he breaking up before you recognize shit from Shinola? Something about this shit ain't right, Britt. Some shit ain't adding up, Britt. Your man got scratches and shit on him, Britt. What the fuck, Britt? We smelling stinking shit, Britt. Britt don't get it, but check this out. This monkey mouth motherfucker, he had another little chick that he was kicking it with. Her name was Shantae Mahone. Now, Shantae also over to the apartment around this same time, and she was like, hey, what's up? Why your face all scratched up? Why your house smelling like somebody dead up in this bitch? What kind of time you on, my boy? And so Mike tells Shantae that same lie that he shot Britt. Got into a squabble with a dude, chick jumped in, scratched me up, in the story. Okay, everybody is buying this story that Mike is selling, right? But it's still dead bodies and dead body smells all around Mike's shit. How the fuck is y'all up here kicking it in this man's apartment and dead body juice is in the carpet? The fuck? Ew, no, stop it. Well, Mike the weed man, so later on in May, he got caught up with a little possession charge, had a little weed on him when the popo rolled up. Again, a little nothing ass charge. All he had to do was pay a fine and they was cool with him, right? But mind you, time is moving on, and it is now July of 2013. We're talking really good into the summertime now, right? It's hot, it's sticky, and it's stinking. Ooh, like particularly funky on a little stretch of Hayden Avenue in East Cleveland. Like literally, the smell of death is in the air. A smell so strong and so pungent, it just could not be ignored. And all it took was a cable man who was like, hell to the no. I ain't gonna be able to work with this. Something is dead around this bitch. And do you know how funky it had to have been to make a motherfucker call the cops to see what the fuck is this motherfucking smell around here that don't smell right? And Britt and Shantae, you mean to tell me y'all okay, moving on. So yeah, there's a cable company, right? They rent a space on the first floor of the same building on Hayden Avenue, where Mike's apartment is on the second floor above the cable company, right? And behind this building is 4 garages that you can lease from the building. Mike leases one of these garage spaces, right? Well, on this particular day, on July 19th, 2013, the cable people is smelling some funky shit. And so, you know, again, never smelled a dead body, but again, they always say, you know, when you smell it because something smells real wrong. And that coupled with like the 6 million flies that were swarming one of these garages in the back, using those context clues, something in the milk wasn't clean. So yeah, they called the popo to come take a look see. So the police come out and they follow the flies to the source of the smell. It's a garage space, but this garage is closed. They figure out that the garage is used by one Mr. Michael Madison, and so the building landlord called up Mike and was like, hey man, we need to get in your garage because something funky up in there. We need to see what it is. And Mike was like, I'm not at home right now, but if you leave a message, I'll see what I can do to help you out when I get back. Okay, now, nigga, so you finna try to play me? We finna go up in there. And so the landlord gave permission to the police to go on inside because, I mean, that's his shit, right? So the police go in and they following the flies and they see a black trash bag jammed up in between the wall and a car. Come to find out, the car belongs to Mike. They cut the bag open and they find the body of Sherelle the Terry. Her body was wrapped in a paisley sheet and it was bagged up inside, like I said, multiple trash bags. So they know that the garage is rented by Michael Madison. And so the police quickly, get a warrant for his crib. And they run up in there and they find evidence that some funky shit has gone down, y'all. Funky, literally. That closet in the living room where them dead raccoons was, the police and the CSI people find decomp fluids and maggots and shit in that very same closet. And technology of the time allows them to determine that this ain't come from no goddamn raccoons. This nigga Mike been a bad boy and we need to get his ass off the streets immediately, right? So now all they need to do is figure out where the fuck Mike Madison is. So they run in his name and they know that he's a sex offender and he is listed his mama's address where he is actually supposed to be living. Remember when he got paroled out to her house and he ain't told nobody that he got his own little spot over in East Cleveland, right? So after talking with the neighbors and whatnot, they figured that it was probably a good bet that he had done walked to her house to lay low. So what the police do? They went right on over there to snatch his yellow Skeletor looking ass right on up, honey. And so they pull up to his mama house on two wheels. Y'all remember Diane's trifling, never gonna be mother of the year ass. Her. Well, while Mike really didn't fuck with her, he would pop in from time to time, right? And I'm sure that after that phone call about what was going on at his garage, that nigga must have been shook at her. And though she wasn't shit, she was probably the only person who might give a half a damn about him being in a little predicament, right? So he gonna go hide out over at her house over at 19612 Chickasaw Avenue. Well, police done pulled up and Michael ain't coming outside. He like, fuck that shit, I ain't coming out. So now we having us a good old standoff. Somebody gotta go get the negotiator. But Mike didn't want to go out like that. I mean, he knew that the police were not going to give up without that ass being stuffed and cuffed. So after about 2 hours, Mike bought his busted and disgusted ass right on out the door with his hands up and gave that ass all the way up. So they get him down to the station and they start interrogating him. And at first, like many of them crusty criminal and cucks, he denies his crimes like Peter did Jesus. I don't know. It wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. Who? I ain't the only one that used that garage. Oh, yada, 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 yada. And then that nigga folded like freshly laundered sheets. Got to talking about, how that nigga Anthony Sewell had it right. Anthony Sewell? You talking about the serial killer that we just got about 4 years ago for killing all them women and hiding their bodies in his house? That nigga? That's who you look up to? Oh, really? Do tell. So, and that's exactly what he did. He started talking. That nigga was singing like the rent would do. And at this point in time, you gotta understand, the police had only found that one bag of remains in the garage. Now, I don't know if Mike told them something or they got a tip that it was still funky out there or whatever, but after hearing that he might have been trying to emulate Anthony Sewell, they thought it was a good bet that there may be some more bodies out there. So that following day, Saturday the 20th, with a bunch of volunteers from the neighborhood, they go out and they start searching. And they didn't have to look far because, again, right behind the garage where they found that first bag, there go another trash bag. They cut it open and damn if there ain't another body. Well, also, right behind the garage is two houses. Now, one of them is empty. It's been abandoned. So somebody thought it's a good idea. Let's go in here and check it. They go in that house. And in the basement, they found another black trash bag. Cut it open, we got another body. Now, here's the thing. The search stops after they made that discovery of that second body, or third body. So, that Sunday, they called off the search. They were done. And for me, I just wonder, does that mean there weren't any more bodies to be found? Or does that just mean that the police gave up and they didn't want to find no more bodies? Like, real talk, 3 is a real number. It's 3 too many. But we also know these killers that like to kill, it ain't too much of a stretch to think they might have had some more trash bags out there to be found. I'm just saying. But after they found the last 2 bodies, they go back to chat a little bit more with Mike. They like, look, looks like we found some more of your handiwork. You want to tell us how all this shit went down? And so he begins to tell them how he did what he did. He told the detectives how he choked Shatisha, and then he went out and got drunk, and then he came home and folded her up in some bags and put her in the garage. And then he told them that Sherelda, she did come by his house and that he had lied to her. Told her that he was 25 with no kids, even though he was 35 with 2 children. Don't know who these children are. Baby, let me tell you something. They kept their name out of the paper. We don't know this nigga. But he did have 2 kids. He also says that he didn't remember how he killed Sherelda. He only remembered waking up the next morning and there was a dead body in the bed with him. What? Like, what? I done did a lot of things. I done had nights where I done had a few too many. I ain't never, in the history of never, woke up with a dead body next to me. Nasty, trifling motherfucker. While I would be freaked out, Mike say he just got up and got rid of the body, folded her up, put in some trash bags, put it in the garage. And so they said, well, okay, what about the 3rd body? And then this low-life waste of flesh, audacical motherfucker had the absolute nerve and gall to say he didn't even remember Angela. Say who? Angela? Angela? Yeah, Angela, nigga. You claiming you don't know her, but her DNA was found in your little house of horrors. You know her, and you also did that shit. Now, when the medical examiner did his thing, it was found that Sherelda and Angela had been strangled with a belt. And that's a horrible, horrible, horrible death. But it was also found that Mike had mutilated Sherelda's vagina. She had a cut inside of her vagina and inside of her anus, like this nigga was jugging her with a blade. And the medical examiner said all of that happened while she was alive. My Lord and Savior, I cannot imagine the pain that young girl went through. I mean, a motherfucker sexually assaulting you is bad enough. But a motherfucker sexually assaulting you with a knife is some nasty work. That's the work of a depraved mind. They couldn't tell how Shatisha died because she was just too far gone with the decomp. But they could see that her face looked like she had done won a couple of rounds with Tyson when he was in his prime. Not when he had his ass out, but you know, when he was still Iron Mike. That dude. Now, another thing that the medical examiner was able to say was that all 3 women were positioned the exact same way. Bent at the waist with their heads tied to their legs, symbolizing that they were all killed and discarded by the same person. So the police, they get a search warrant and they are searching Mike's apartment and they find stuff that belongs to each of the women, as well as plenty DNA samples, right? And so they took that carpet up in the closet in the living room, and then they also found the matching pillowcase that went with the sheet that Sherelda was wrapped up in. Nigga, we got your ass. We got more than enough evidence. And on July 21st, 2013, Mike must have figured out, yeah, they got more than enough evidence. And he signed a 4-page confession admitting to it all. And while he alluded verbally that there might be some more victims out there, he said he was done talking. He ain't got nothing else to say. Yeah, I think that's a good thing because you have said and done a motherfucking enough. Just shut the fuck up and sit down and go somewhere and die. Like, drop fucking dead. That following Monday, on July 22nd, 2013, his ass was in front of a judge with a court-appointed attorney for the arraignment. When it was all said and done, Michael Madison ended up with a 14-count indictment. 6 counts of aggravated murder, 3 counts of kidnapping, 3 counts of gross abuse of a corpse, 1 count of rape, 1 count of weapons possessed by an ex-con. And so Judge William Dawson said a sit your ass down bail of $6 million. You ain't going nowhere. $6 million? Psh, nigga. But y'all know how it is. The wheels of justice move slow. And Mike's actual attorneys, they did everything in their power to try to get as much evidence thrown out. They challenged everything. They tried everything they could to just delay this trial. So it would take about 3 years before Mike was actually ready to crank up the jury. His trial started April 4th, 2016, and it took about a month from start to finish. Now, a big chunk of that was spent on jury selection. Like, it legit took them 2 weeks to just get as close as possible to an impartial jury. Talk about take your time and get it right. You can appeal, but you ain't going to be appealing about this. And so the people, of course, they represented by the Cayuga County prosecutors, and they laid out the state's case pretty straightforward. Michael lured these women, he beat these women, he raped these women, he killed these women, and then he bagged these women, and he didn't give a fuck while he was doing all this shit. They had him tested and evaluated to make sure that he was not mentally challenged. They found that he was fully aware and understanding and right and wrong. So there was no mental defects that would be at play here. And so they just laid the case out, and they also showed some very graphic pictures of the victims. It was a lot. Like, total, they had like 50 witnesses on the stand, and they brought up like more than 1,000 exhibits. They had pictures of everything. The jury got to take a little field trip to the crime scene. They went to the garage. They went to the little field behind the garage. They was over in the basement at the house behind the garage. So they went everywhere that a body was found. And so for the trial, Mike's attorney, he's a man named David Grant. And so David's strategy is not to dispute the fact that Michael Madison is a murderer that murdered Sherelda, Angela, and Shatisha. Oh no, he did it. We ain't denying that. But you see, he did it because he was a drug addict full of PTSD and prone to fits of rage. Quote, spontaneous eruptions of violence, end quote. That's what they called it. Spontaneous eruptions of violence. Oh, he didn't plan this shit out. It just happened. It was more of a oops type of situation. He ain't mean it. And since he didn't mean it, that negates what qualifies him for the death penalty. You can put him in jail forever, but just don't kill him. That was their move. That's what they were trying to accomplish. Anything that would make it so that Mike didn't get that long kiss goodnight, that's what they were down for, right? And then they put the blame solely on Miss Diane's ain't shit ass, right? She wasn't shit, and she abused Michael when he was growing up, and that's why he turned out to be a serial killer. Man, what a load of horse shit. Like, man, if yo, that's the best y'all can do. I mean, I know you got to put on a defense, but okay. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who thought that, because Sherelda Terry's grandmama stood up and shouted at Mike, I hope you rot in hell. Damn Skippy Granny. Hopefully hell got a sub-basement and they can stick his ass down there, old trifling, stinking, no good son of a bitch. I was with Granny. Now, of course, Mike's shiesty-ass lawyer tried to use Granny's outburst as a reason for a mistrial, a new trial. And the judge was like, look, sit your ass down somewhere. She told the jury to disregard Granny's outburst and keep it pushing. But then she told Granny, look, since you can't control yourself, you can't come back in here no more. Go on home, Granny. We're there. Let your family tell you what happened in court every day. And so the case goes on for another 2 weeks, and it goes to the jury, and they come up on May 5th, 2016, after deliberating for a few hours. They took a nice little chunk of time. It wasn't no quick fasting on her, but they did come back in with a guilty verdict on all counts. Okay, so half the battle is won. Now all that's left to do is the actual factual sentencing. So, after the conviction, it's time for the sentencing hearing. And this is where the victims can get up and talk and give their victim impact statements, right? And we know that during this part of the process, emotions can get a little high. And this is the time when loved ones get to say what's on their hearts, and sometimes things can get a little heated. you know? And y'all know, I like it when the unexpected happens, and maybe this one did not disappoint. So, Van Terry, that's Sherelle the father. He got up to say his piece, right? And so I'm going to try to set the scene for you a little bit now. Mr. Terry got up, you know, and he kind of built, in my mind, he kind of built like Forrest Whitaker. Kind of stout, solid build. Probably played on somebody's football team at some point in his younger years. You know what I'm saying? So he's not a small man. He ain't no big man, but he big. You know what I'm saying? He's solid. And so the brother is standing up here at the podium, and he truly got out like 2 or 3 sentences. And it really started off well. Like, he was respectful to the judge. Hello, Your Honor. And then he said something like, I guess we supposed to be here to forgive this clown who's touched our families, taking my child. And you can see he trying to figure out, you know, keep it together, say what need to be said. But he turned as he said that, and he looked at that clown-ass Michael. And y'all, this puss-ass nigga had the nerve to be sniggling and giggling. It was too much for Mr. Terry. Baby, you can see that man just slump like he took a body blow, like somebody had done went straight to the gut. And then you can literally like see his spirit just give up. And he kind of stand there for a few seconds just looking like he punch drunk. And then you can also see when the decision was made. Yeah, the decision to open up a can of whoop ass on the motherfucker that killed his baby. Hunty, Mr. Terry turned and in one swift move, Twinkle Toes leapt across that table that separated him from Michael Madison. Now, y'all, I told y'all, Mr. Terry ain't no little man. This was a leap of faith. Faith that gravity would be defied, that inertia would propel, and he would fly through the air and land in the vicinity of his target to give him the proper ass whooping that he deserved. Let me tell you, if feet don't fail me now was a person, it'd have been Mr. Terry. Now, I'm going to give him an A for effort because he did put forth that effort. That man sailed through the air, headed for the vicinity of where Mike was sitting, handcuffed. But, he ain't even pinched that nigga. His hand kind of skims past Mike's bald-ass head, but that's about it. He was quickly bear hugged by a deputy who was between him and Mike. And Mike, y'all, this entire time, this motherfucker is laughing. Now, you know when you mad enough to try to take somebody's head off, the last thing you want to see is a motherfucker laughing. Man, I felt so bad for Mr. Terry. That man was distraught, y'all. It was too much. It came out later that it was during the course of the trial that he found out about the sexual mutilation of his baby. He didn't know. I mean, of course he knew that she had probably been raped, right? But he didn't know that it had been that bad. To find that out, that man was broken. And you got the absolute nerve to be up here sniggling and giggling? Oh, it was too much. It was too much. And you know what? I hate that he couldn't get his lick back. Like, he's supposed to just jug that man and gave him like, you know, a whoop, whoop, wop, wop, whoop. You know what I'm saying? But law enforcement didn't let Mr. Terry get nowhere near Mike. And I for real hate that. Like, I think that Mr. Terry deserved to deliver a 2-piece of them biscuit to that scum ass nigga. That's the least they could have did. It took legit 6 or 7 people to get Mr. Terry out of there. So there's that. I mean, he had the strength of all the ancestors behind him. He just couldn't get to him. And they removed him from the proceedings, but they didn't prosecute him. I think we all understand that was purely an emotional father just trying to deal. And I don't know who wouldn't have popped off like that shit. I'd have tried to take me a flying leap too, but god damn it, if he had a hook that big, that would have been awesome. The video is available on YouTube. Y'all can I'll drop the link on the in the discussion group if y'all want to take a look at Mr. Terry sailing through the air. Now, after everything calmed down, Judge Nancy McDonald, she handled Mr. Terry's lightweight. She was like, you know what, Mr. Terry, you couldn't get that nigga. I can get his ass, though. And then she went right on ahead and sentenced Michael Madison to die. You got to leave here, nigga. You can't stay here no longer. But you know what, y'all? That all sounds well and good, but the likelihood of Michael Madison's pussy ass getting a state-sponsored disconnection is slim to none. Like, the state of Ohio has not turned off anybody's water since 2018. Not necessarily because they don't want to, but because the drugs to put a motherfucker down is hard to get. So until they can find out a way to either get the meds or find another method of execution that is suitable, sustainable, as well as humane, the convicts on death row just gonna keep on chilling. So, Michael Madison is inmate A683577 at the Ross Correctional Institute in Chillicothe. What I said, Chillicothe, Ohio. And so we know death penalty cases automatically go into the appeal process, and Mike's case is no different. So far, they have submitted various appeals to try to get out of his state-sponsored disconnection, and all of them hoes have been denied. They did actually give him a disconnect notice for May 15, 2024, but you know, he still had some more appeals left in the chamber, and again, that whole nobody's been executed since 2018, so y'all basically just selling wolf tickets. That nigga know he ain't going nowhere, and y'all do too. But wait. Before I let you go, I got some related tea to spill about some shit that had went down after Mike got sent up the river. Check this out. June 22nd, 2019. Mike been locked up for 3 years around this time. Some real crazy shit went down that kind of proves to me that this bloodline is spoiled. It's tainted. Tell me why Mike's mama, Miss Diane, was killed. Yes, honey, murdered. Honey, in the same house that they arrested Mike in over there on Chickasaw Avenue in Cleveland. Yeah, honey, in the same house that they had arrested Michael in over there on Chickasaw Avenue. Yes, honey, wait till you hear. It wasn't just Diane that got. It was 3 of her grandchildren, too, that was in the hospital. And you ain't gonna believe who did the killation. Her motherfucking grandson. I know. Let me tell you what happened. So, her grandson is Jalen Plummer. Jalen is 18 years old. He sneak up in Miss Diane's house after midnight. He stabbed her 3 other grandchildren, a 12-year-old boy, 2 10-year-old girls, and Miss Diane. 2 of the children escaped. They run off to the neighbor house. The other child hide in the closet, trying not to, show that he in the house. But Miss Diane, honey, Miss Diane went on to the room. Ain't that some shit? Fucked up as a mama. Maybe you tried to redeem yourself as a grandmother, and then your grandchild is the one that takes you out. God damn. And then somebody asked that punk ass Michael what he thought about his mama getting got by her grandson, his nephew, because if it's her grandson, she had a son. We know that. No records of Diane having any other children. So, nigga, that's your nephew that did the killing, right? First thing Mike did was disavow the young man. I don't know that nigga. And as far as his mama getting jugged out in her own house by her own grandson, do y'all know this parasitic pariah said that, that's fucked up. But it is what it is. That's how he feel about his mama getting killed. I mean, on the one hand, she was in the running for one of the worst mothers on the planet award, right? And a killer that has killed 3 women and has proclaimed far and wide that he despises women probably don't give a fat rat's ass about his own mama dying. But I mean, goddamn, he could have at least pretended to be sympathetic that the womb that gave him life is no longer with us. I guess it was too much for him, right? Child, this is just a whole bunch of mess all the way around. And that Noir Nation is the story of Michael Madison. I don't know about y'all, but I just want to scrape my tongue right now. Like, what the fuck? Some of these motherfuckers just... they really give me heartburn because you have got to be a special kind of twisted to kill somebody and leave the body in your house. Like, we know that Mike ain't the first, but god damn it, man. People coming in and out of your house and you ain't got a bit of shame. Decomposing flesh smells up the place. And of course, there's the whole flies of it all. And you just can act like it's nothing. Like, and what about this motherfucker saying he woke up beside a dead body? Who the fuck does that? I mean, in this whole time, you just right here in the neighborhood, just chilling, filling up trash bags with dead bodies and just tossing them around like some real trash. And I don't know. The other thing that's really, really, really sticking in my craw is that goddamn girlfriend, Brittany. And I guess to a certain extent, Shantae, the other little chick that he was messing with, because I got questions. Now, some people say that Brittany actually lived in that house with Michael, like full time, while he was doing all this killing. Other people say they had an open relationship and she came and went, you know what I'm saying? But I don't have no thoughts about what type of relationship they had, whether it was live in or live out. But I do have questions that need answers. I mean, because even if she wasn't cohabitating with this nigga, you was over there. You at his house. You smelled that shit. They found decomp fluid in that closet. They found maggots in that closet. And y'all know wherever there are maggots, there are flies. And wherever there is a dead body, you gonna have them motherfucking flies. How was it that you were in this apartment smelling that shit? How the fuck did you not go in the closet that specific day that you brought that shit up? And you just gonna let it chill? We just gonna just act like, this is nothing? Because in my mind, if you know that it's raccoons and they're dead, that means you opened the door and you seen the shit. And if you open the door and you seen the shit, why you ain't handle the shit? You just gonna close the door and act like it ain't there, like we don't smell this? And I'm just saying, sister girl, if you cool with a nigga doing it like that, I am really side-eyeing you. Like, both of y'all asses, it was pungent enough to make you say something. So, okay, maybe y'all just some nasty, cool with filthy ass nigga type of women. Because a bitch like me, let me tell you something. I come to your house and smell anything that remotely smells like death or decay. We ain't even friends no more because something off with you. I mean, if I come over there and you ain't tearing your house apart trying to find the source of the smell, you and me are not the same. They not like us. Cause baby, I ain't having no company while my house smelling like the chicken processing plant. Company? Hell, I ain't going nowhere till I find the offending offender that has offended my sinus cavities. Like, how we doing anything in this house when it smell like death? Baby, we can't eat. We can't sleep. We can't watch TV. And we most definitely ain't finna get it on. So what is this? Another case of see and don't see, smell and don't smell? I know what I'm smelling, but I can't be smelling that. So I must not be smelling what I know I'm smelling. Man, whatever. What the fuck ever. Michael Madison was fucked up as a child, and that is a goddamn shame. But you know what? It's a whole lot of people that had to survive their parents, and they didn't turn to serial killing. Michael hated women because of what he went through as a child. Your mom was supposed to be the first woman that you fall in love with, normally all that nurturing and shit, but not Mike. It didn't work out like that. His mama was the prototype for everything that was wrong in his world, and he unleashed all that hate and rage on unsuspecting women. But he wasn't quiet with his viewpoint. Like, they say he stayed popping off about fucking up a woman, talking about Anthony Sewell. Like, the signs were there. But everybody just ignored that shit. Because he was the weed man. What? Let me tell you something. I don't care. By the time the cable people finally said that the smell was too much, that shit had been funking up the neighborhood for weeks. He had killed 3 women on 3 different occasions, and the bags is outside. The hefty bags was not keeping that smell on the low. And he had neighbors, like literally on the other side of the wall or that closet in the living room where he was storing the bags. They smelled that shit too. They had to have had flies too. And ain't nobody saying shit. Ooh, honey, sweet black Jesus. Where's my toothbrush? Okay, now let's move on. Let's talk about this shit on social media. Y'all know all the details. I am Melanin Mayhem Podcast on IG, Facebook, and YouTube, and I am Melanin Mayhem PC on X. The email is always open and waiting on you at melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget, there is a fabulous private discussion group on Facebook, the Melanin Mayhem Podcast discussion group. Answer a few questions, I'll let you right on in, baby. And don't forget melaninmayhempodcast.com for all your merch needs. You see how everything just flows? Melanin Mayhem Podcast. You can't go wrong. That's all you need to know. All right, y'all. Today's Noir Nation shout out goes to my new friend, Guy. That's his name. Let me tell y'all about Guy. Smooth ass. So I'm at my job and we kicking it, right? And so Guy fucked around and say something like, Renee, have you ever thought about doing a podcast? And I was like, yeah, I actually do. And he was like, what? Is it like a crime podcast? And I was like, yeah. And he bust out, I knew it. You the Mayhem, right? I thought that was your voice. Yeah, I'm the Mayhem. He went on to tell me that he had been listening to me as he drove his box truck cross country, delivering shit, whatever, picking up, delivering. Him and his brother, Joe Hines. They twinsies. Hey, Guy. Hey, Joe Hines. It was so cute, y'all. Like, he's deployed from Vegas, and he's just helping us at my job temporarily, and I'm wearing this while this whole conversation is going on. I'm wearing a sweatshirt like that I'm creating for the podcast. He was like, I need to get me some merch. I like sweatshirts. So, it is the prototype. I'm working on it. I keep wanting to add stuff to it and take stuff away. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post the pictures of what I have come up with so far on the discussion group social media page. And y'all tell me what y'all think. Do I need to take something away? Do I need to? Because I'm Virgo in it. Like, I keep zhuzhing it and twisting this and turning this. And yeah. So anyway, that's not the point. Guy, Joe Hines, thank y'all for rocking with the country girl. And y'all keep on listening, boop. All right, y'all. It legit is 3:58 in the morning. It has taken me almost 2 hours to record this because I keep having to breathe. So let me go on ahead and quit while I am behind. I'm so thankful, y'all, as always, that you have taken time out of your day to kick it with the country girl. And you know what, Noir Nation, we're going to do this thing one more again next weekend if the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. So y'all go on ahead and stay safe and stay vigilant. And remember this, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's one love, Noir Nation, and your favorite country girl is out of here.
Ooh wee, Nana, you did that.